So I have said this earlier, but this is the right time to say it, and I'll have an occasion to repeat it again. What is the framework? Keep this in mind. The framework of spiritual practice. Let's call it the matrix of spiritual practice. What are we to do, if that is the question, in spiritual life? To become enlightened, to attain moksha, liberation, salvation. What are we to do? According to Vedanta, here is the answer. Make a matrix in your mind, 3 by 3. In your mind, 3 columns. The first column is problem. The second column is solution. The third column is method. Problem, solution, method. 3 columns. All right. Vedanta tells us you are Brahman, you are pure being, immortal, beyond any suffering, your pure awareness, beyond the problems of the body, or forever, perfect, forever beyond the problems of the mind, and stops. And we are left sort of scratching our heads. That doesn't quite help me. Why? Doesn't seem to be a living reality to me. It doesn't seem... I've heard it. I'm not sure I understand what it means. And it certainly doesn't seem to be a lived reality to me. It's not realized yet. It's not... I'm not awake to that reality, what you're talking about. So problem. You said it, but I don't realize it. I don't know it. Not knowing, not realizing. So the first problem is ajnana, ignorance. First problem is ajnana, ignorance. What I'm telling now is absolutely key to understanding Bhagavad Gita from the Vedanta perspective, Advaita Vedānta perspective. So you have to keep it in mind. Many questions, from now on can be answered. I might just say, refer to the matrix. Tell me the answer, you can easily give the answer yourself. So what is the matrix? First problem is ignorance, ajnana, Sanskrit. What is the solution? Solution, knowledge. Solution for any problem, any ignorance is knowledge. Jnana in Sanskrit. Here, I'll point out something which seems obvious, but still good to keep in mind. Knowledge removes ignorance. Correct. Provided there are 2 conditions. The object and locus of knowledge and ignorance are the same. Object and locus of the knowledge and ignorance are the same. What do you mean? That sounds really difficult. No, it isn't. It's it's really simple. Really simple. Philosophers love to make simple things difficult. What does it mean? Suppose I am ignorant. The question will be ignorant of what? I'm ignorant of physics. So I have ignorance of physics. What is the object of my ignorance? What is it that I do not know? Physics. Where is this ignorance? In me. In me, the student. The student is ignorant of physics. Now knowledge will be required to remove this ignorance. Remember, knowledge must have the same object and same locus. Locus means place, residence. Which means, what kind of knowledge is required and where is that knowledge required? Knowledge of mathematics or knowledge of Sanskrit will not remove my ignorance of physics. Knowledge of physics will remove my ignorance of physics, because the object of knowledge and object of ignorance must be the same. 1. My professor's knowledge of physics will not remove my ignorance of physics. That knowledge has to come in me. It has to arise in me. I must get the feeling that I must know it. In that case, the knowledge is here. Ignorance was here. That knowledge, when it comes here, it will remove the ignorance here. So, ignorance about Atman, about the self, who I really am, that can be removed only by knowledge of Sanskrit. Gita. Knowledge of Atman. Yes, knowledge of Atman. And my Guru's knowledge is not enough. Sri Ramakrishna and Vivekananda's knowledge is not enough to remove my ignorance. It must come here. They can help me, but it must ultimately come here. I must realize it. So, Knowledge removes ignorance. Jnana removes ajnana. Problem, ignorance. Solution, knowledge. Method, how do I get that knowledge? Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. This is Jnana Yoga. Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. Literally, hearing, reasoning, meditating. Hearing, reasoning, meditating. Hearing here means systematically studying Vedanta. Which means coming to class, listening carefully, thinking about it, asking questions. Congratulations, you're already practicing Jnana Yoga. Yes, the moment you have started Shravana, listening to Vedanta and thinking, applying the mind to it, we're already practicing. In fact, this is the first step, and which is the most important step in Jnana Yoga, the path of knowledge. It is this listening, not the meditation afterwards. They say Shravanat eva jnanam. By what you hear alone, knowledge comes. Reasoning and meditation are to remove obstructions in knowledge. There are a lot of explanations to be done there. I will not go into it. So method, listening, that means studying, reasoning, and meditation. One after another in sequence. So now you have the first row of the matrix. Problem, ignorance of the Atman. Solution, knowledge of the Atman. How do I get that knowledge? Listen, reason, meditate. Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. Now we again back to scratching our heads. Yeah, well, I've been coming to class for... Swami, you have come for 2 years now. I've been coming to class for 20 years. And I don't see enlightenment coming or anywhere close to it. What is the problem now? The problem now, the second tier, the second row, the problem now is what in Sanskrit is called vikshepa. The mind is scattered. The mind is restless. The mind is unable to absorb this teaching. Clarity does not dawn. Focus does not come. We hear it. Even when we apply ourselves to it, the result is we say, I get some kind of intellectual knowledge. That is the sign that clarity has not yet come. So, vikshepa, a scattered mind. You see, what's the problem? I have gone through your recommendation. I have done hearing and reasoning and meditation to some extent, at least for a long time. It has not worked. Now the problem is, why has it not worked? Or why is it not working? Many people keep coming to class for years and years, and they have so many notebooks. And nowadays, hard disks full of talks and things like that. So what is happening? Restless mind. Restless mind, problem. Solution, concentration, focus, solution. It's a huge problem these days. Lack of attention, restlessness, hyper-restlessness, especially among kids. Daniel Goleman, who became very famous writing EQ, about the book on emotional intelligence, not one book, one after another. The latest book he's written is called Focus. It's about concentration. So anyway, this is the same problem, exactly the same problem. Inability to hold on and focus and not just in Vedanta, in any sphere of life. In any sphere of life, to do anything great, to make any kind of breakthrough, you need focus, you need to hold on. More than talent, this bearing down upon it, to hold on to something and seriously plug away at it for months and years together. That is more important than being talented or being very brilliant. I like this American saying, a big shot is a little shot who keeps shooting. Focus, the ability to hold on. I have a friend who is a mathematician, tremendous focus. Now, he was saying that this is what is important to be a good mathematician. It's not really important to be very particularly brilliant. You need talent. So I said, then why don't they do it? I mean, they could have more people. Just if you need to keep doing it. He said, they won't. That's it. They don't. They get distracted by mobile phones and movies and socializing and so on and so forth. They won't. I remember going to In India, these IITs are very well-known engineering colleges. I went to another engineering college to give a talk to the students there, and I was talking to the students. It's not of the rank of the IITs, a couple of steps down in the ranking. And I remember what I told the students based on my observation. I said, look, whenever I go to a college or university, I visit the library. I love libraries. I do that here also whenever I go to a college or university. And you have fantastic libraries here. Then I said, here is the difference between you guys and that elite engineering college. Here I find we have extraordinary, excellent, shiny computer departments and labs and a beautiful library. And that's what they have in the IITs too. But here is the difference. It's not a difference in your facilities. It's not so much of a difference in your faculty. The difference is this. When I went to the library, just before the talk, I'd gone to visit the library. I said, very nice. Where are the kids? Oh, they've all gone home. The computer department. Rows and rows of shiny new computers. Empty. Nobody's there. One or two boys and girls are sitting. Where are they? They have gone out, they're socializing, gone back home or something like that. So when I went to the class which I was supposed to address, I said, when I went to that college, which you guys look up to, I went and sat in the library to read with the students there, and there a group of students reading. Then I went to my room to do some work and, took a bath and had lunch, and I came back. And I was amazed to see that 8 hours later, the same group of students were sitting around me, evidently at it, exactly the same way which they have been 8 hours earlier. And I told the students there in that college, that elite one, I'm so impressed how these kids in this day and age, they've got so much focus. And they said, Swami, you're visiting in the lean hours. That means if you come during exam time, you will find the kids, they get into the library to study. The moment, early in the morning, it's open throughout the day. And they are in the library throughout the day, throughout the evening, throughout the night. Next morning, they go to the washroom in the library, wash their faces, and go straight to the examination halls. 24 hours without a break. No coffee break, no lunch, no dinner, nothing. Sometimes they do that. So I said to those kids, this is the difference. So I asked the professor, so if it's that, why don't they do it? They won't. They won't, unfortunately. It's not possible. Everybody doesn't have that kind of capacity to hold on. Now, focus is important. Focus, if distraction is the problem, vikshepa, then the solution is ekagrata, concentration. And the method is meditation. Upasana, meditation. Upasana is meditation. Worship, meditation. Then people will say, back to scratching your head again. I took initiation and I've been practicing meditation for 20 years and meditation is not particularly good. I still am so distracted. And what's the problem now? Third tier, I promise this is the last tier of problems. We're going to complete the matrix now. The last tier of problems, impurity of mind, ashuddha chitta. In Sanskrit, chitta mala. Mala means dirt. Chitta mala. Impurity of mind. What is the solution? Purity of mind, chitta shuddhi. That's a no-brainer. Purity of mind. How is that accomplished? What is the method? Karma yoga. This is what is coming in here. Karma yoga. Doing what needs to be done with a spiritual attitude. Spiritualizing your day-to-day activity. Now you have the matrix. Let me draw it again for in your mind's eye. Just draw it again. First column, problem. So in the first row, you have got ignorance. Solution, knowledge. Method, hearing, reasoning, meditating. Jnana yoga. Second row problem is distracted mind. Sanskrit, vikshepa. Solution, focused mind. Sanskrit, ekagrata. Method, upasana, worship, meditation. Third row, why even meditation is not successful. Third row, impure mind. Chitta mala, impurities in the mind. Solution, pure mind, chitta shuddhi. Method, one powerful method, karma yoga. So now you have the matrix. With a purified mind, when you sit down to meditate, meditation is immediate, powerful, and effective. With a concentrated and purified mind, when you approach the teaching of the Atman, there is a breakthrough. You intuitively grasp, oh, it is so. I am the unaffected witness consciousness. Chidananda rupa shivoham. I am pure awareness, pure bliss. It is so. You don't have to become that. It becomes very clear. And that is realization, enlightenment, bodhi, whatever you call it, brahma jnana. Yeah, that happens. So this is the whole spiritual journey. But again, this is one framework. Remember, this is the framework according to Advaita Vedānta, Shankara. If you ask a teacher of bhakti, they'll say, oh, no, not like this. Something else. Yes.
I have a question about chitta shuddhi.
Yes.
Having no negative thoughts, what's pure mind?
Pure mind is no negative thoughts? No, it's not that. It is a preponderance of pure thoughts. You know, what will happen is, spiritual life becomes desirable and nice and not so much of a struggle. You like meditating. You like service. You like reading about, you like reading the Gita or the Bible or whatever it is. Spiritual life becomes desirable, nice, interesting, and you're able to. You're able to do it. That is the sign of purity. Not that once in a while anger, disturbance, greed, reactions will not come. Of course they will come. How do you deal with it when they come? Some people get swept away. Some people get caught up in it. All right, I'll give you the sign of Chitta Shuddhi. What will happen is this. Over time, what will happen is the frequency of these upsets, irritation, outburst, depression, inability to control myself, the frequency will go down. And the second thing which will happen will be the intensity of these negativities will get reduced, will go down. So earlier I used to fly into a rage, now I'm mildly irritated. Earlier I used to be angry almost every other day, now every other week. And the recovery time will go down. Earlier, if I am angry in the morning, it will take me 3 days to cool down. Now, if I am angry now, next moment I am all right. They were saying, Shadhur Rag Jolet Dag. The anger of a monk should be like a line drawn in flowing water. As soon as you draw it, it goes away. It's not that anger will not be there. Swami Vivekananda said, a fool cannot get angry. The wise one does not get angry. So, yes. This is a monk in Chennai. He told me this. This is a good way to measure your progress in spiritual life. It happens over time. Gently, even without any kind of specific spiritual practice. Maturity is what we could call, this is what is called maturity. Emotional maturity is this thing. The frequency of problems, the intensity of problems, and the recovery time from the problems, they all go down. Over years, you will notice it is happening. Yes.
Swami, I think you gave an example how the students, they were able to focus and study in the library. So when you're a student and as more, that's a stage where you can just focus and all your happiness is actually studying, whether it's physics or math or whatever. So there's an ability to focus and also purify the mind. As people grow and then they realize as they experience more of the worldly life, so I feel like they move away from that. So just trying to understand how sometimes actually life makes it harder.
Yes and no. Do you lose the ability to focus? Yes and no. If you do not keep in training, you will lose these abilities. So I've seen students who became academicians, researchers. They retain the ability to focus because they are focusing. A student who goes into managing a multinational corporation with 100 and everything, or a busy mom. So very difficult to focus on one thing because half a dozen things are calling for your attention. I saw a cartoon. It was a philosophy journal. The theme was time. So the cartoon was, on one side is the old man with a scythe standing. It's written Father Time. Looking brooding, Father Time, old man. And the next picture is of this lady. She's got a handbag and 2 kids hanging onto a hand and another kid on a pram and racing along. She looks harried. It says, Mother, not enough time. Father Time and Mother, not enough time. So sometimes you're put in a situation where it's difficult to focus. But even there, notice, the person who can focus will get much more done, much better than the person who cannot focus. Yeah. And these practices help you to maintain and develop your power of focus. Meditation, it does. It does help. The ability to sit still and hold on to one thought for a while. That is the very essence of concentration, of focus. Yeah. Nowadays, there's so much emphasis on mindfulness. It's a huge thing in USA now. Children are being taught mindfulness. Not just for focus, for calming down, for de-stressing, but for focus also, for awareness. Yes.
Is there a difference between the meditation in method first row and meditation in the method of second row?
Oh, you noticed. Good. Somebody's noticing. Yes, there's a difference. There's a big difference. The meditation which is done in the first one, that is called Nididhyasana, Vedantic meditation. The meditation which is done in the second row, that is the yogic meditation, that is dhyana or upasana. Now there is a difference. I will not go into that, but if you want, I will refer you to Aparokshanubhuti. I have a series of lectures. Towards the end of those lectures, in Aparokshanubhuti from verses 101 onwards, Shankaracharya talks about Vedantic meditation, that is the row 1 kind of meditation, but he also contrasts it with the yogic meditation. The purpose of Vedantic meditation is to realize that I am Brahman. The purpose of yogic meditation is to develop the power of focus. Yeah. I'll leave it at that, but there is a difference in principle there, and in practice also. All right, this is as much as I wanted to say. This is the framework, and we will use this throughout our study of Gita. But remember, this is just a framework. If you come to some other spiritual tradition, they may have a different framework. The bhakti traditions, for example, they will never say